Thank you guys for being here. It is 2026 and we have survived January. And we have all, as he said, moved beyond, I think, the hype, the AI for AI's sake, and we're starting to really go from initial experimentation and pilot fatigue to real long-term enterprise value. And we have an incredible group of panelists here. They're going to talk about some of their hard-fought lessons and wins, and really hope that you get some practical advice for how you can, further operationalize across your own organizations and maybe think about some of the challenges that you're facing and some of the opportunities that lie ahead in a new way, and take some of these insights. So as he said, I was an early investor and founding board member of Alembic. You hopefully saw the logo out on the step and repeat. We're really thrilled. This is our hometown here in San Francisco. We closed on our 145 million Series B raise in November and are now, thank you, a top 50 foundation AI lab, and really in the causal AI space. So when you think about an enterprise and you think about the decisions that these leaders, these C-level leaders face on a daily basis, we are right there, intelligent simulation and helping to really determine the cause and effect of their data and serving as kind of a single source of truth and a North Star that can help everyone make better decisions. And so that's kind of the lens that I bring to this, and I'm going to have everybody just introduce themselves. I'm also married to a Bostonian, so of course, my team I'm rooting for is the Patriots.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim. Really, really nice to meet you. And I lead Wearables marketing. I am absolutely cheering for the Seahawks because serendipitously, we signed Marshawn Lynch, who has been incredible. Our beast mode is also the intern for the Seahawks for the whole weekend. So amazing. Whatever happens, I want them to win.
Hey everyone, Jim Squires. I lead our marketing and growth teams here at Reddit, and just thrilled to have you all here at the Reddit office. It's very convenient to just jump from a meeting into here to say hello to all of you. So great to be here, and thank you for being here.
He's being modest. It wasn't just any meeting. It's like the whole board and everything going on. We really appreciate you being here, and thank you for hosting us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katelyn Watson, the CMO at Talkspace. Talkspace is an online therapy platform. You might know about us from Michael Phelps, who is our brand ambassador and has been for a very long time. And we really focus on how the human elements intersects with AI, and we'll talk more about that. And I'm from Texas originally, so I'm still a Cowboys fan, so I don't really care too much about any of this.
Okay, so we'll kick this off. I'm going to start with you. We have talked about some of the lessons and some of the battles that we're facing on a daily basis. And with the rapid rollout of AI wearables, I'm curious to know, what is kind of the biggest lesson or takeaway that you can share when you think about all of the friction points that occur when you have such a high concept AI product and you're moving from like a controlled lab into mass global consumer market? Just
great question. I'll put on my glasses for this so you can see it. I think one of the things that what we're trying to do at Meta is take a familiar form factor. Anyone have prescription glasses? Anyone use sunglasses on a daily basis? So how do we take a familiar form factor and build it with technology and AI so it's seamless? And I think that's biggest lesson for us, like the friction of what happens in a lab or you're building an LLM model or whatever versus people just want it to work where they want it, when they want it, and how they want it. So that's really where we focus. So from a marketing perspective, we really focused on more simple use cases and how they're using it in their everyday life.
That's great. I'm going to turn it to you, Katelyn. In the healthcare, we know that experimentation is constant, but the stakes for failure are absolute. And we have talked a lot about just technical feasibility, and you've been on this great journey of transformation and really starting to embrace AI over the last year. And I think, from my understanding, we're kind of shifting from what AI can do to more of a strategic viability and thinking about like what should it do for patients. So just tell us a little bit about the journey you've been on, talk about kind of how that's come to life.
Yeah, sure. So we've been around since 2012, and our product is really the ability for you to connect with a human therapist. So we have been very human-centric for a very long time. And our biggest shift over the years has been that we were kind of a subscription-based, pay-as-you-go, use it or lose it, kind of the gym type of model. We've transformed into a full healthcare company in terms of the fact that we're covered by all major insurance plans. So most people pay $0 copay. We're in network with Medicare. We're in network with TRICARE for the military. So really had broadened out into a mass market that way. And now we're trying to really lean into AI and where it fits in and what, those everyday use cases, as you mentioned, but how do we keep our patients safe and how do we ensure their privacy? So what started happening earlier this year was that everyone started using ChatGPT as their therapist. And we're especially seeing it with men, which is interesting because most of our patients are actually women. So we started to see this as really a market expanding opportunity. Initially, we came out and we said, we're a human-based company, but started to see, if you've seen in the news, there have been a lot of stories of people who've taken their life from talking to their AI therapist, and it's tragic and terrible, and especially for teens. And so we kind of stood up as our responsibility to be one of the first to build a true behavioral health large language model that is in training right now, which is going to take quite a while, but how do we bridge that AI gap in the meantime, and how do we build products and services, educate the consumer on what AI actually means, how the human touch is still there. So it's really been a labor of love on the marketing and the branding side to really figure out how that resonates with the customer and doesn't scare them away. And we started getting a lot of feedback early on of like, oh, are your human therapists actually AI? Are they even real? And so that is really a lot of the balance and what we're having to do with the branding, and we'll share a video later to show you that.
And how did you overcome some of the initial resistance and hesitation? Because I'm sure that's something that many of the people who are here in this room are faced with, where there's just not that organizational readiness beyond these pilots and tests, but to kind of make it a core part of the offering.
Yeah, it's really the safety and the privacy and educating consumers on how we brought that in. So one, for us, we actually had machine learning and AI built into our product from the beginning, but we didn't talk about it in that way, and that was in our in our harm and suicide risk alerts that are built into the product. So we kind of started there and then built on that, and then it's sort of like, how do you layer in products and services for the provider to make them, do their job a little bit faster, to spend more time with you, the patient? How do you have them have insights and notes before they meet with you to also not have to, so you don't have to, like, if you've ever reiterated your story to a therapist over and over and over, or to a doctor, it's very painful. So it was about some of those kind of little things along the way that built trust. And then also just reiterating that even when we do launch true consumer AI products, and we launched something called Talkcast, which is a personalized podcast that your provider generates for you based on your session and based on other sessions, so that you can sort of listen to it in between your sessions and remember and practice what you talked about. And so it was a lot of those little things along the way where people could start seeing, oh, okay, there's AI here, but it's part of Talkspace, so we know it's private, we know it's safe and secure. And then the biggest thing is there's a human in the loop. So there is a human somewhere behind it, where if something needs to be escalated, you can take that action.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, Jim.
I like that you all took it slightly different directions. For me, I think about the paradox of AI is that it doesn't exist without actual intelligence, and that is coming from humans and from the conversations. Reddit is the #1 cited source in the LLMs, but it's also the most human place on the internet. So it's really like interesting to think about Reddit on both sides of the coin, for AI. People come to Reddit to have conversations about everything, and to connect with communities on the platform about anything that they're interested in. And those conversations are what gets picked up and gets brought into the AI models. And so we really think about both sides because we have our own LLM that sits on top of Reddit. This is our search functionality. We call it Reddit Answers. And it allows you to quickly do searches and get answers and not have a dead end, but actually go deeper into the communities where the answers are coming from. But the real magic on Reddit is those human interactions. And we find that the shift in how people make purchase decisions now is they go check it on Reddit. So they want to come in. Many of these answers that people ask, they don't have one right answer. The answer is the conversation. What should I listen to? What should I watch? There's not one answer. It's the conversation that's the answer. And so that both sides of the coin and where Reddit fits in is how I think about it.
Yeah. I think you kind of answered one of the questions I had, which was, does more AI generated content actually lead to a better user experience over the long term? Because, you are sourcing so much. I mean, it really is the data fuel for, majority of the LLMs. And so as you think about just durability of AI generated content, like how does that fit into
what has to
your
come from
approach?
the new real content,
Yeah.
people contributing, talking heavy conversations. Those are tomorrow's answers and tomorrow's search results inside of the LLMs. But it is really, I mean, they are, these are all valuable tools. So when you're in LLMs, you're getting a summarized, synthesized, sanitized version. And sometimes you want one quick search query or one answer. Much of the time you want actually to have the conversation or learn more, or get more color. AI can't test drive a car and talk about it. It can only mirror back someone who actually test drove that car and has personal experience. And
Can't
so
try on the pants.
exactly. So there's all these tools are valuable for people depending on the use case and where you're at, which is why we actually introduced the Reddit Answers on top of Reddit when you want just a quick answer, but then you can follow it deeper and get more color and conversation on it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love, that the conversation so far is really centered on humanity and, what we as humans bring to the equation. Okay, so Meta is building some of the most powerful computer clusters. And from your perspective, I am curious to get a little bit under the hood on some of the infrastructure. Like as we think about an end user wearing a pair of these amazing, in this case, Ray-Ban Metas, like, can you just help us translate the infrastructure requirements, or like what are some of the enablers or constraints that either hinder or help you achieve what you're looking to do when you're bringing this, into the consumer's hands? I really just interested more shifting from some of these lessons into kind of the pragmatic operational things that you as leaders are dealing with and faced with, and how you kind of overcome some of those barriers, if you have any advice for this audience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as close on the infrastructure. Fortunately, we've got an incredible infra team that really leads a lot of that. But for us, it's about, if we have a solid infrastructure and a very strong LLM, it makes everything faster, more contextual, more personalized, more agentic versus what you need. So that's how I really look at it. The more that we continue to invest in Meta and the infrastructure of AI, it's going to help these work better and better. And I think that's what's fascinating about having AI glasses, is that it keeps getting better and better, but it is reliant on that infrastructure and ensuring that the LLMs continue to be better, more personalized, more contextual for where you are, because these are on your face.
Right.
It's your unique POV.
Yeah, that's great. Just either of you want to comment on infrastructure operationally?
I would just add that my marketing team has like kind of all become unofficial lawyers in a way. Lawyers? Well, just the regulatory environment around AI and healthcare, and what we have seen is like our compliance teams, they're learning it every day as they go, and we're learning it alongside with them. So the market, like we're literally joining government related webinars and meetings to understand, as these laws and things are being made, how does it impact marketing? So one example is there are plenty of AI mental health companies out there that are sort of app based that you can get and talk to a bot, if you will. But the regulatory, you're not allowed, they're not allowed to be called a therapist because that puts you in a whole new category. So that's one small example, but we really are like following this every single day. And in many cases, like bringing it to our compliance teams where, usually it's a little bit the other way around.
One of the questions I get most often from our business partners is, okay, we know this shift from search is going into the LLMs. How do we think about visibility and showing up? We know Reddit is the #1 cited source. So what does that mean? How do we participate? And if you think about, we want to enable the infrastructure, enable people. We don't control what shows up in the LLMs, but we know that when you are active and part of the conversations, running advertising, actually having conversations with people on the platform, that gets picked up and will have an effect over there. So what we really focus on, what we can control with our infrastructure and what we supply, and make it so that businesses can have a verified presence on the platform. They can have the tools to be able to communicate and connect with the communities so that ultimately they can be visible there and have that value and show up in the wider world. So that shift is one that I get the question all the time of what do I do? How do I think about this? And what the LMs are looking for, they're looking for semiotic cues of helpfulness. And that means it's conversations that are positive and negative about something, or it's Q&A type conversations. All the stuff that people are doing within the conversations on Reddit is why that gets picked up, because that's actually, it's not just marketing speak, it's actually real information about what people are going to find helpful.
It's so interesting. It's really like changing the interface of internet browsing based on those indigenous behaviors, and that's really cool. Okay, so I can't help myself. I've spent 30 years in advertising, leading creative agencies, and we're just about to go into the Super Bowl. And we also want to talk about brand. Now, I did not bring the Meta Super Bowl spot to this stage because, well, for one, I'm superstitious about this stuff. And I think that you should, for this level of media spend, be watching this live during the game as it is intended to be consumed. But if you just can't help yourself, I would encourage all of you, and I'll have you just say a few words, but to tease the spot.
I saw it earlier today. It's awesome. It's really good.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I have actually some of my team here. So, hey.
Well done, team.
Yeah, we had a very simple brief to our agency mother, who's been an incredible partner in crime. But how do you bring athletic intelligence, get it like a play on AI, to life on and off the field? And we used the glasses themselves, and I'm sorry I'm not wearing the Oakley Meta, but the reflections of the glasses of themselves to see the visceral emotion, what it feels like to be an athlete. And we took these incredible sports scenarios, a person falling with real dirt, or Marshawn Lynch flying out of the airplane. We leveraged incredible talent like iShowSpeed and Spike Lee to really show how they use the glasses. And my only tip, which I've also been in marketing for a long time, is really recruit talent that love your product. It makes everything so much easier. My team is with Marshawn right now. He is an advocate of the product. He's using them naturally. And so that would be my one thing, my sophomore year of Super Bowl.
That's great.
Been really helpful.
That's super great. Okay, so let's have a word on how the Reddit brand is impacted and how you're thinking about, the future of Reddit as a brand, where you're trying to balance, adjusting to all of the technology innovation that's at your fingertips, and how everything that needs to be communicated in a simple way to demonstrate, how it's all evolving, but maintain that kind of ethos and core value set. And I mean, you really are a community at its core. So I think a lot of those values and a lot of that just attraction to the brand, like how are you thinking about that balance of sort of driving the traffic overnight, appealing to all these bots, and keeping the brand going over time?
I mean, it is, it's the most human place on the internet.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for 20 years, which in tech time is a long time. We just had our 20-year anniversary. And we will continue to lean into that. There's a number of things on the roadmap with verified profiles and human verification and a variety of other things to keep that. There's a really strong use case for good bots in certain places on the platform, where they're clearly labeled and they're helping moderators do the work that they need to do. There's a remind me bot to come back to content. So if they're clearly labeled, there's definitely use cases for that. But the core of what people do on the platform as far as connecting with communities, having those conversations, that will continue to be more and more important as AI continues to develop, to have that true human connection. For us for me as a marketer, I would say the biggest challenge as we continue to grow the product is just awareness of how much incredible content is on the platform. So whether it's NFL football content or parenting content or health and wellness, every one of these categories has just got incredible content on the platform. So unlike other platforms where there's a use case that caps out at some point, where it's not every single person in the world may not have that use case, Reddit truly doesn't have a ceiling, because every single person in the world has some interest or some hobby or some
able to contribute to it, right? It's not like you have to be a content creator or expert in film, uploading on YouTube and this kind of thing. Like, everybody can contribute
and get value from it. And so it's there is value there for every single person, but not everyone knows how it works or how they can use that. And so that is the fun part of marketing, is
surfacing all that value.
That's exactly right.
That's great. Okay, so we are going to show a film. This is not a Super Bowl spot, but it is an ad. It is for Talkspace, and my prompt for you all is to pay attention and identify the AI. Please play the film.
When Monday is Mondaying, a Talkspace therapist is just a message away. When drama piles up by midweek, take a mental health break and talk it out in a video session with your therapist. During quiet moments, listen to a Talkspace personalized podcast.
Let's review that exercise called Pause and Reframe.
Stress doesn't wait for an appointment, so Talkspace stays by your side and is covered by most insurance plans. Start today at Talkspace.com.
So the ad was actually, none of it was actually created with AI. But I kind of gave it away earlier in talking about the personalized podcast. That was really the marketing behind, okay, how do we start bringing our AI products into the mix alongside the human products to sort of show how something might be across the continuum. And of course, like I said, because our providers have AI tools that they use on the back end, the real answer is the whole thing is all about AI, because it's all happening behind the human side. One other thing on just Reddit specifically, we actually launched when we launched with TRICARE for the military, we actually launched our TRICARE brand on Reddit. And when we did that, we saw that that we were getting a lot more pickup in the LLMs, specifically from Reddit citations. So we've seen in action what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to wrap soon. I have kind of two questions left. And the first one is really just around some advice for the impact that this is having on you as leaders and your team and your workforce, right? So we have talked about moving, toward more sovereign intelligence, where AI isn't just a tool, it's a digital colleague. It anticipates needs. We have things that are being now executed autonomously. Just how are you personally adapting to this in your work style as leaders? And how is it having an impact on the way you think about the next generation of talent that you're attracting? Just speak to us about what it's like to adapt to this as a leader.
I think as we're moving from like the hype of AI, one of the things we're really trying to figure out as a team is it's constantly evolving. There were some big announcements this week in the agentic space. And so really figuring out as a team, like, what are the big bets that we want to do around this? If we spend a significant amount of money on Ray-Ban Meta, Oakley Meta, different brands that we have, how do we set up our brand for success so we can easily see if something's on brand, off brand? How do we easily do our media planning? I've got Carmen back there. How do we leverage things like language translation, sizing? There's some really like short-term, easy, low-hanging fruit. So I think we've got some of those, but also the longer tail, like what are some of the big bets we want to take, because things are evolving so quickly. So that's been really helpful for us, like just putting a stake in the ground and being like, we're going to do this.
And just having everybody move toward that common goal.
A few big bets for the half as opposed to a little bit of everything, which I think is what people were trying in the last maybe 18 months ago. Tim?
Yeah, we embrace it across our teams. I mean, I think about both internally, our Reddit teams, as well as helping our partners on the platform. So on the platform, we just introduced Max Campaigns, which is uses AI, but it is open box, it's not black box. So you can, as a small business or as a marketer on the platform, rely on AI to just get so much value out of the Reddit system with your advertising without having to spend as much work on it, but then still get all the insights back and not have it just be something you don't understand. Internally, same thing, using the tools across the board to just be more efficient, have greater impact. I really think about the tools both internally and externally as the more you can tap into these AI tools to minimize or eliminate the administrative work. It just frees you up. Our sales teams then can partner with clients and think about more strategic work with them. The story as a marketer, the more storytelling versus the mechanics of setting up campaigns and dealing with that. So I think it just, in general, internally and externally, just frees up you to just do more interesting, compelling, strategic work and outsource a lot of the administrative
Automate
work.
the administrative stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. What about you?
Yeah, we are thinking about it as on-the-job training and career growth, right? Don't be scared of it. Embrace it. You're going to be able to, try things, fail, try them again. Also, some of my team is getting a lot of visibility that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. So one example is I think he was talking about all the billboards on 101, specifically for the AI SDR. And so for our B2B business, we did implement an AI SDR that is essentially is a whole team of SDRs who funnel all the leads, do the CRM, and it's all done with AI, and it's working wonderfully. And our sales team is seeing more and more leads come through that, which is bringing visibility to the marketing team. And it's because they essentially have, hundreds of new people on the team that aren't really there.
So I'm going to close with a supercomputer closing question, because the team at Alembic deals with massive compute power every single day. And as we're looking at roadmaps and we're talking with enterprise clients that are looking at their roadmaps, I'm going to ask each of you, and this may or may not be applicable. So I guess the first thing is, if you had unlimited, instantaneous computing power tomorrow, what is the one impossible problem, either in the company or in your industry, that you would try to solve first? So just put on your problem-solving hat. Or your alternative question is, to leave everybody with some hope and optimism, if we are sitting here a year from now and we're talking about Meta and Reddit and Talkspace, what is it that you hope this audience would be remembering about the conversation that's different then than is now? So you can choose your own adventure. Instantaneous, unrestrained, supercomputing power at your fingertips, solving the impossible, or what do you hope to be the takeaway next year?
I'm going to go super practical on this one. There still is not a system that exists that actually press a button with some strategy and do all of your media planning, buying, execution across all of your channels. There are tools that say that they do that, but it really doesn't exist. And hopefully one day it does, so that we can spend a lot more time on other strategic things.
So media planning and buying. Okay.
I mean, I'll answer both quickly. I think what I would hope people take away for Reddit is that more than half of the conversations about purchases happen on the platform. And so we would love to partner with our clients to help them be successful on Reddit to drive that impact and be in those conversations. I would say that going back to first principles for what we try to do. So our mission is to empower communities and make their knowledge accessible to all. Mm-hmm. So infinite AI, for me, means that we would be able to connect everyone in the world with the communities and conversations that they're most interested in, and remove all friction, all language barriers where people can communicate and be part of these world conversations that are happening.
All those translations at scale just brings
just
everybody
remove
into the
all
conversation.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You?
Yeah, I would just say a year from now, I would want people to think of Meta wearables like these glasses, and think of, instead of like a novelty or just a consumer electronic, that it's a necessity. It's something that isn't in your way. It doesn't cause friction, but it seamlessly blends in, and it helps you do you better.
I love that.
Like whatever that is.
And everyone should have a therapist, whether it's human or AI, on Talkspace.
How amazing is this panel? Thank you all so much.
Thank
This has
you.
been wonderful.
Thank you for being
I
here.
hope you guys took some great insights away. I certainly did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.